In this lesson, we're going to be putting together a shot list based on what we know and what we've seen in episodes of Peep. So this is what we're going to end up with. This is it already done up. I'm going to put this aside and we're going to work on this one. So this is, again, going to be a follow along. And it's for you to create these notes and have them for reference for when you do your Peep storyboard. So this is the storyboard thumbnail template. Find that, download it, and print a bunch of them out. If you have to go somewhere, like I was mentioning before with a USB stick, Staples or somewhere, yeah, print out a bunch because we're going to use this quite a bit this semester, and throughout the 3 years you're going to be using it a lot. So I'm going to zoom right in so that we can start the process here. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I don't want to get too close because these blocks are very, very tiny. Here, let me just double check focus. Great. So really need to sharpen the pencil. I'm going to sharpen mine up again. This is where I've used my electric sharpener. So we're going to have, I'm going to label this as Peep shot list. So we're going to go over what those shots are and label them so you know what they're called. So the first one here, I'm going to put together an environment shot. And again, I'm using the process of blue pencil first. And once I get things sized and positioned right where I want them, then I'll go in with pencil and clean those up. So we have our log, we have our little pond here, little ripples that we've seen in the design of the show. Now I'm going to go over with the lead pencil. Again, these are pretty small, so you should sharpen that pencil. Or better yet, you can use that mechanical pencil that is in the art material list. So whatever works best for you. So here, just do some of these bushes. So this is giving the location. No characters in this shot at this point. We've seen that in some of the shows. There could be a character in the distance, or the shot could start out like this and then have some characters enter the scene from left or right. So a shot like this, it is a wide shot. And quite often a wide shot where you're showing location and things, it has another name. It's still a wide shot, but we can describe that as an establishing shot. There we go. So now another shot that we're familiar with, and again I'm going to create a little bit of a hill here. I'm going to rough in a cylinder, and hopefully we recognize this location as Peep's home, which is a can, a tin can, a soup can, or I think it's a pear can or something, I'm not sure. So there's a label here, and then we could put Peep out front. Again, very tiny here. But want to kind of make it recognizable. Then we can go in with our pencil. A couple of rocks here keeps the can from rolling down the hill. So we want to be familiar with the locations and just how the designs are and the function of those designs. Here's the lid of that can, kind of giving a little shade at the entrance. Here we've got Peep. And again, we're doing a very simple show so that we can learn in a very simple way how to effectively tell a story and act out, perform our characters, and work on composition and such. So this one also, we can start a show with this shot. So it is also a wide shot. Because the character's relatively small in the scene, we can see the environment. So it as well can be an establishing shot. Now, after this, we can cut in closer. So I'm going to try and get a shot, try and get the size of the character right. And in this shot, we'd see a bit of that can, a bit of the label, and maybe we see a little bit of that back environment there. So let's get that. Yeah, I haven't got the proportions quite right. Something we'll work on. It's not too bad. So we've cut in closer. And this could be a progression of shots. You can actually start with this wide environment shot, then cut to this one, and then we can cut in closer yet. So since we've cut in closer, we have a label for this. This is a mid shot. So you wouldn't ordinarily start with a shot like this. You would give some kind of establishing where we're at. Or sometimes you can start with this and then cut out to this shot. So long as you got a relationship of the character to his environment, and that's giving information to the audience so they know where we are and what's going on. So I'll do another one here. Now this time we're going to get closer and closer to the Peep character. So this one I'm going to kind of frame him here. Figure out where his eyes would be, his beak. Get that plumage going. So we won't see his feet. The bottom of him is cut off. And we might see a little bit here. So we'll clean this up better. Again, always trying to keep the character in model. That's where we're practicing with the character. Because anytime you're storyboarding, you want to have the character as on model as possible in size relationships so that he's instantly recognizable. And that his relationship with the background and the other characters is accurate. So everything, you have to be as precise as you can. Again, see, it's still rather rough, but again, these are thumbnails, so they are rough. But we'll label this shot as a close-up. So if we look at these three shots, we want to make sure there's a very distinct difference from a wide shot and the size of the character to a mid shot to a close-up. That very distinct steps of getting closer to the character. Now, this one, we're going to get even closer. So I'm going to have I'm going to make these even bigger. So maybe he's squinting to see something in the distance. So we've gone to even closer. So we're really looking at the eyes is predominant in this shot. There we go. So this one, we can label that. Oh, getting some real glare from the light on the camera here. Hopefully you can see that a bit better. So I would label this one extreme, close up, and that could be even closer, so the two eyes are filling the screen. So again, very distinct from here, what we had at this one to this one. So getting closer, closer, closer. Now we'll take a look at a typical shot that we could make use of in telling our story. And again, we've seen these shots quite often in the episodes that we've taken a look at. And hopefully you've looked at more to get very familiar with the characters. But not only the characters, but the stories, the environments, and just getting a better idea of their personality. And the relationship between the two. So here I'm trying to get Quack and Peep together here, but making them look accurate in size. So here we go. So I'm going to try and clean these guys up. I'm a little bit more on model. I don't know if I can get that so you can see it better. Yeah, it's unfortunate the way the lead is reflecting off on the light, but you'll get the idea. And again, the idea is for you to copy along and make your list of shots. And then again, I was mentioning that when you do your storyboard, you've got reference to that shot list and kind of cherry pick from it to create your cinematics to tell your story. So here we go. So quite often you're going to have two characters talking here. Here, I got that on an angle here so you can see that a little better. So this one is a mid shot. But it also can be referred to as a two-shot, meaning that your composition is working for two characters. Now, the other thing to make note of in this note that this little thumbnail that I made, that when you have two characters talking to each other, we want to really recognize the characters and see what they look like. So something to keep in mind is make sure your characters are 3/4 view. So we often kind of cheat. We have the characters somewhat looking towards the audience, their body language here. So if their positioning, have them more looking this way and this way, and then have the eye direction looking towards each other. And this just works really well. The alternative being is that we have Peep here and we have Quack here. And then again we've got Peep and then if we had our background, this doesn't read near as nice. If you recall, when we looked at episodes, very rare do you have a side view of the characters, because they're hard to identify. They don't look very well, and when they communicate with each other, if you have a two-shot like that and they're complete profile side shots, you don't get to see expression, you don't get to see eye direction very well. The characters don't look their best. So we want to make sure that we're positioning the characters to the audience so it looks much better, like we have here. This is a far better shot than this one. So avoid this kind of side shot. So here, I'm going to put a note here. No straight side views. I'm going to put a big X here because this is what not to do. Here's the best position to do things. Now, something real important when you're doing thumbnails and particularly your storyboard is where's your horizon line. So here, horizon line is quite high, so it could represent a hill, or when you see a high horizon line, that means the camera is up higher, and most times you want the camera to be at eye level. So this isn't too bad. We can get away with eye level with this, if not looking maybe slightly down at the shot, and that background horizon line lets us know. So for example, if we had our two characters again, and I will have our Peep character and our Quack character. Again, looking and talking to each other. And having them in that good 3/4 view. But this time, I'm going to have the ground line, horizon line, lower. So it gives us the illusion that the camera is lower in the scene. And if you don't see a horizon line at all, it's way up above, then you're really looking down. So it's being aware how your relationship of your characters to your background. Okay, so again, I'm going to have that background down here. So this is a, let's see if I can get that up. There we go. A low angle shot, meaning that you would have a low horizon in the background. It's these things that you have to communicate in your storyboard so that anybody who takes that storyboard and wants to produce your film, they know what your intent was. They know the camera position. So the height of the camera is as important as the composition of the objects and the characters within the shot. Okay, so let's go on to the next one. So for example, here we go. I'm going to show the opposite. So on this one, I'm going to have Peep over here in this corner. And no, he's not going to be floating in the sky. He's going to be at the pond where our friend Quack is. And get a little bit of shrubbery here, a little bit of going on. So we don't see the horizon line. The horizon line's way above the shot. So here, I didn't get the eye direction right. We always got to work on eye direction if they're looking at each other or they're focusing on something else. You want to be really careful with the eye direction and communicate that to your audience. And again, it just reinforces the interaction between the characters and not creating any confusion. Okay. And again, we got a little shrubbery here, and that pretty much does it. Let me get that up so you can see that. So again, this one is a high angle shot, meaning that it has a high horizon line, or the horizon line is so high we don't even see the horizon line. We're really looking down at that shot. In live action, we would call that a crane shot, where it's the idea that we're almost looking at it from up in a tree or something. So we're looking at it from a very high angle perspective. Okay. So one of the things I wanted to do and reinforce that I'm going to do another shot. We haven't done a close-up of our Quack character. And we can have our background here. And I've been drawing these last few anyways, drawings here, so that I have Quack on the left and Peep on the right. So I don't have Peep in the shot, but I have Quack looking to the right, so he's on the left. So that even the close-up, it reinforces our establishing shot, our wide shot, so that we know that Peep is off at this angle. Also, what we want to do is we want to leave some space. So we want the character looking into space, into an opener area here, looking towards the other character. And what we don't want to forget is when we're talking about our elements and principles of design, is I'm going to divide this screen into 3 sections and 3 sections. So we have the rule of thirds. So we want to keep an interesting composition by having some extra space over here and having our character off to the left. And that helps us with our composition using our space well with the rule of thirds. So this one is a mid shot, but we're applying our, this is what's really important, and this one is rules of thirds for good composition. Okay. So that one works well. If we cut to Peep, if we go from that shot over to this shot, I'm just trying to get him a better size here. Get that plumage in the shot and his eyes. And in this one that I'm doing, and not by accident here, I've got our Quack character looking downwards and to the right and giving some space here. On this one, again, it's more subtle, but I do have the character overall to the right and leaving some space on the left where he'd be looking towards Quack. And he's looking upwards because Quack is a taller character. So I want to keep that subtlety and help us with the relationship between the characters. Also on this one, I put the horizon line higher, so we're looking down at him a little bit. And with Quack here, maybe we're looking up a bit because I put the horizon line lower. So those are things you should be always thinking about. So again, we've got close-up on Peep here. And again, rule of thirds, we carry that over and divide this up. Even though we do have the face kind of center of the screen, the overall object of the character is offset over this way to the right and leaving some space over here that he's looking into. So these two shots cut together very well. It really reinforces the relationship between the characters. Okay, so I'm going to do one more, and I'll wrap up this half of the tutorial, the video, and we'll pick up the second half, of which will complete this page. But just to give you a heads up on that, I am going to do our last little thumbnail here. So again, we're looking at shot possibilities. And again, it's all about relationship of the characters and the relationship between them. Checking that eye direction. So here I'm going to get, and again, we've seen these shots in the actual show, so we know that they use them and we know that they work. So on this one, we've had two shots and the relationship between those two characters. This one, we focus, or really we can see the Quack character 3/4 straight on. So this would be a shot that we use when Quack has dialogue. And if Peep doesn't have dialogue, or much dialogue, we can kind of use him to frame the shot, but it's not important to see his expression. A little bit of his eye poking out here, of his beak, that plumage coming around. Yeah, just put some shadow in here. Not that that's really necessary. So he's much closer to the camera, Peep is, and Quack's further away. So he's kind of a mid shot, and he's a close-up. So instead of saying close-up, mid shot, and all this, because all of it's going over, how we label this shot is, it's known as an over the shoulder shot. Now, these characters don't really have shoulders, but all this makes more sense when you have proper anatomy characters. And we'll be working on a shot list again with more human type characters so that all this translates well. Okay, so here's where you should be at this point. This is the end of tutorial 1 on Peep shot list. And we will be picking up and doing the last 3 rows and completing this. The idea is when we get that completed and gone through both videos, that please digitally submit this and show me that you've gotten the notes and that you understand these principles and what we got to work with. All right, see you in the next video.